YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Guys, today I want to talk to you a little bit about the post spawn and how right now is one of the toughest times of the year to catch fish, but a great chance to catch a big one. But hey, real fast though, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do that. Super easy. At the bottom right hand corner, you're going to see a little red square. Just hit that red square, subscribe if you get a chance. I have a goal at the end of the month to hit 25,000 subscribers. I don't think that's an impossible feat, and I know you guys can help me along the way. So today, let's talk a little bit about how to catch those finicky post spawners that have just pulled off the bed. Got a couple bait offerings that I like to use, but one in particular that I use probably more than anything is the Strike King Ocho. This is a 5-inch stick worm. I have it rigged on a 3/0 hook and a 3/16 ounce weight. Now, we all like to throw an Ocho or a stick bait up shallow when these fish are spawning, but one thing that I really like to do, especially when those fish pull off, is to still use that stick worm. The fish really get finicky, especially during the post spawn, so I like to go to a bait that has almost zero action to it. It seems like it's a little less intimidating for the fish, and they're more likely to bite it, especially those really big fish. So I'm going to show you how to fish this particular bait. Now, I'm out here on Toledo Bend, one of my favorite lakes in the whole world, and I'm just fishing a channel turn, which is one of those kind of places those fish like to go before they go out deep to their deep water places. So basically what you do with this Ocho, and I'm throwing it on 20-pound contra fluorocarbon, but I like big line right now, and only because I'm fishing around a lot of trees. But you drag this thing super slow. I mean, like, you want to keep that thing bottom contact the whole time, super duper slow. And every once in a while, you give it a little snap. And that little snap, sometimes, if you have a fish that's sitting there following it, will actually trigger that fish into biting. And that is a really big deal. 7.2 heavy action rod, a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio reel. Your typical Texas rig, deep water Texas rig setup is what I'm using here today. But more so than anything, it's all about that slow presentation this time of year and that no action bait. You can also accomplish this using, let's say for instance, a straight tail finesse worm like a Zoom trick worm or a 6.5-inch finesse worm from Strike King, or even a fatter worm like the bull worm, the 8 or 10-inch bull worm, depending on the size of fish you're dealing with, or even like a mag trick worm. But basically, I'm just kind of roll casting this thing around cover, especially wood, rock, anything that's in the water, not just the structure, not just the drop-offs and things like that. I want there to be specific cover because that's what those fish are going to try to hold on. Now, a few other bait offerings that you might try. One, a Carolina rig. There's almost nothing that beats a Carolina rig this time of year other than this Ocho rig, Texas rig. But the Carolina rig is a mainstay in my boat, especially during the post spawn. It just gets a lot of bites. Now, your bait offering on that particular rig is very specific. Once again, a bait that doesn't have a lot of action. One of my baits that I really like to use is a Super Fry, Strike King Super Fry. I really think they like that bait. I catch a lot of fish on that bait. And let's be honest, guys, it comes in a lot of really good colors. One of my favorites, though, is Chartreuse Pepper. And I got to thank Todd Castledine for that one because, let's be honest, guys, he hooked me up with that bait, and ever since I started using it, I can't stop throwing it. So it's just one of the things that I throw all the time on a Carolina rig. Another offering would be the bull worm or a straight tail worm. As you can tell, I'm not saying like a big 10-inch worm or a ribbon tail worm or anything like that. It's more finesse, but not so finesse that you have to throw a drop shot or a shaky head. Now granted, the shaky head is a great post-spawn bait too. But in the situation of fishing for bigger fish, I really like that Ocho. I think it catches a lot of extra fish. Now if you're the cranking type and you want to go out there and throw a crankbait, there's a couple crankbaits that I like to use this time of year when these fish are just pulling off. Now granted, you can go watch all the FLW, the old FLW's Bassmaster events, where guys have gone out there and crushed them throwing 6XDs, 10XDs, and things like that. But that's not the kind of post spawn I'm really talking about. The post spawn I'm talking about is actually the ones where they just pulled out, not the ones where they've already gone out deep. the ones where they're just now getting off the bed. And to me, those are the hardest times and the hardest fish to catch, but sometimes can be the biggest ones. So in the crankbait scheme of things, I either throw a 3XD or a 5XD. And it all depends on the depth of water I'm fishing and the size of the bait fish I'm dealing with. Now, if I'm dealing with like Kentucky Lake style bait fish where the shad are big, Toledo Bend, I'm going to throw a 5XD. But you have certain places where those fish will pull out and you have to throw a smaller bait offering, and it makes a humongous difference. But there's something about that 10 to 12 foot of water. Those fish really like that depth range when they're going post-spawn before they go out to their deep water haunts. And that's where I like to stay most of the time. Shad colors are obviously the way to go. I typically either throw something like a Tennessee Shad 2.0, which is like a white with a gold back, or I go and throw green gizzard shad, which is more of a transparent bait. I let the fish kind of tell me which one they want because every day is a little bit different. But now, guys, the most important thing is you have to pay attention to where those fish spawn and find those funnels to the deeper water. Paying attention to your graph, paying attention to where the bait fish are is a really big deal as well. But when it comes to fishing the baits, though, slow is the way to go. Minimal action is also the way to go. Carolina rig, super slow, drag it, hit the cover, catch the fish. Crankbait, slow as well. I'm cranking on a 6/8 to 1, and I'm cranking it really, really, really slow. And that is a big deal when you're fishing for those post-spawners. Pay attention to how they bite your bait and how they eat your bait. If you catch a big one off a spot, let's say, for instance, you bowl up to a point and you catch a 7-pounder, you might not catch another fish there today, but more times than not, you can go back to that exact same spot and catch another big one. There's an obvious reason why those post-spawners are used in a certain place, and more will continue to funnel through. Sometimes you get out there and you catch multiples, 2, 3, and sometimes you only get one bite. But that's just how it goes. I've got some of my very favorite places on this lake and others where I've caught big ones in the post-spawn as soon as they pulled off, and every time I go there, I catch really big fish. So pay attention to how the fish are moving, slow your baits down, and get in that 10 to 12 foot of water, and you'll be surprised of how many extra fish you catch. Guys, I hope y'all have enjoyed this video. I hope you learned how to catch them a little bit better during that first initial phase of the post-spawn, and maybe you'll catch more and bigger bass this year. And hey, real fast though, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go do that. Super easy. I have that goal, and I need your help. So please help me out if you get a chance. And guys, I will see y'all on the next video.